Going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Professor Cygnus channel. We are going to play a game of Clue for Steam today. We've got a 6-player game, playing the standard game. So this game will play out exactly like the Clue board games you may be familiar with from having played before. No special or unique rules here, just all kind of the standard stuff. 3 cards for everybody. Pretty good card set for us. I always play with the preference of having more rooms, and worked out for us there. We've got 2 of our 3 cards being rooms. Game is going to start here with Ms. Peacock. Move around from there. So the reason that I prefer to have rooms over having weapons or people is I can eliminate weapons or people anywhere. But to eliminate a room, you have to go to that actual room for the most part. There's some things that we're going to be able to use, some good note taking and some inferences to deduce a little further, but for the most part, you know, in order to remove something from consideration, we need to have the particular card involved to make that elimination. So what we don't like having to do is show one of our cards on the first guess out of the game. But you know, as I was saying, having rooms is an advantage because we can eliminate characters and weapons anywhere, but in order to eliminate a room, you must be in that room for the most part. So it just means that we have to do a little less walking around than everybody else. So Col Mustard's going to be the next to guess. He was guessed into the ballroom, rolled, and went into the kitchen. Guesses green. Okay, so take some notes here. It's based on cards that are given later in the game. We may be able to make an elimination about a card without ever having seen it ourselves. So that's always helpful when it works out that way. Orchid's next to go. We're next to go after her. We haven't been guessed yet. We would like Orchid to guess us. Because we would like to be guaranteed being in a room. Perfect. And now we're in the dining room, so we guarantee ourselves the opportunity to ask about the murder next turn. The candlestick is now very narrowed down very early, which is interesting. We're going to see what we can find out about that during our turn. I think we're going to probably avoid the candlestick as a guess, purely for the purpose of not, you know, potentially giving away that nobody has the candlestick this early in the game. So we'll take our roll here, but we're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to stay in the dining room. Yeah. And there we are going to ask about Mrs. Peacock, and we'll ask about the revolver because we have nothing on it yet. So green has dining room. So that's going to eliminate our little notes here about 1 there and there. I'm going to make another small note there, because that now becomes fairly suspicious, because we're playing with 6 players, so that means there are only 3 cards per player. So that guess of plum, candlestick, and dining room, for one of those, well, for candlestick to not be true, green must now have it, and that would be taking 2 of green's cards to exert that sort of pressure there. So we're left with a situation where the chances of candlestick being somewhere are a little more limited. Okay, peacock shows a clue here about lead pipe and white, so that is narrowed down to 2, because we already know that green is the one with dining room. So now we have 2 people, or 2 scenarios that have been guessed, where lead pipe is a potential cross section. So that means that I'm going to focus on different weapons, because now we have 2 people saying, or in their clues saying, that they could potentially have the lead pipe. That puts means there's a 2 out of 6 chance, effectively, that somebody has shown that card. But I tend to think of those pluralities also as not in terms of percentage, but also in terms of the likelihood, because you start to see one thing repeated over and over again, and you start to see some added validity to that clue, especially if other players, the 2 players that have been shown the card, start guessing, or stop guessing. There it is. There's the word. Stop guessing about lead pipe, because typically once you're shown a card, you're not going to guess about it again. There's some ways that you can do it very carefully for deception, but it's a pretty thin application for that. So let's see here. Green is going to take the secret passage to the study kitchen. Green's one of the people we need to pay attention to, because we know one of his cards, and if candlestick isn't one of his cards, then we also know our murder weapon. But if it is one of his cards, then we know 2 of the 3 cards that he has in hand. Okay. So there's now some crossover in terms of Mustard's cards, where he's disproven 2 different scenarios, but there's crossover with dagger. So if he has dagger, even though he's disproven 2 scenarios, he's used the same card to do it. So that kind of narrows the possible help that was delivered. So we'll see here how that plays out in time. Okay, waiting here for Col Mustard to make a guess. And Orchid offers help. So we already know that she doesn't have ballrooms, so that limits the number of cards she could have shown to 2. Let's see. Orchid's turn now. It's a 10, so it can go to really any room near her. What's she gonna choose? She chooses kitchen. So here's another opportunity where there's some crossover here. So white has disproven 2 scenarios, but both of those scenarios could be disproven by 1 card, because both lead pipe and kitchen were crossover pieces of that guess. We're going to go to the hall. Nobody's been there yet. We're going to guess about things that nobody has given any information. Well, yeah, let's go with orchid, because there's only one thing that's been given about that. So it's fairly limited. And then rope, why not? Let's see what it gives us here. Peacock has orchid. Okay, so that eliminates the 1 note from there, and it was a 2-piece clue, because I think it was dining room or ballroom that was involved. That means this is affirmed. Cross out both of these. Revolver. So we managed to eliminate 2 cards with our guess there. So we have 3 rooms eliminated, 1 weapon eliminated, and 2 people. Okay. So we only get, so we got 2 things there. Okay, now normally if somebody solves 3 scenarios, that would mean we would know all their cards and could mark everything else off. But in Mustard's case, we can't. And the reason that we can't is because both Study and Dagger can solve multiple scenarios if that's a card that Mustard has. So technically, though he has solved 3 scenarios, he has shown there's a minimum card shown of 3. Or of 2, but he has 3 cards. So he could still solve another scenario that's unrelated to the things that have been solved so far. There's also the possibility that he's shown 3 cards, but there's a decent amount of pressure on that option, and it would give us a lot of clues if we could prove that he had shown 3 separate cards, because it would eliminate several things from what he could have. So as we suspected, Candlestick was the murder weapon. However, because we have the Mustard card, and because nobody has the Candlestick, we now know Mustard must have Study. So we can eliminate Study from our consideration, and that was for puzzles, or for scenarios 2 and 3. So we can delete any 2s and 3s that we have otherwise on the board. So that means Mustard has Lounge, Dagger, or Peacock, and then has 1 additional card for 3 total. Okay, so Colonel Mustard, well, we're still in the study, so we're going to just have to assume that Mustard has shown the study card again. So we're in decent shape here. We've shown one of our 3 cards. And none of our cards are the murder weapon, which should be clear to everybody now. I believe the candlestick is the correct weapon. It would be cool with them guessing us here. We don't have a lot about Professor Plum, and wouldn't mind being in the library. But alas. Okay. So we've got a bunch of clues here. So 1 and 2 are out here. With 1 and 2 being out, there's only 1, 2 now, and that's kitchen. So we can cross off the kitchen everywhere. And we know that that solves 2, so we're going to take the 1 away and leave the 2 there. But that now leaves 1 unsolved. Oh, no, that leaves 1 potentially unsolved, because this could have worked for both. So we need to leave our 1 there. Now, actually, what we need to do is just clear 1, because we can't tell anymore. Okay, so 1 isn't lead pipe here. So white is the only thing left. So that's marked off. So we can clear these things off. And then because of the guess, we need to add a 2 here and here. Because green must have one of those 2 cards. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how this isn't a guess. Oh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if we missed a clue somewhere, but I don't think that we could have gotten any closer than we were. Let's see. Let's look at... Okay, and everybody else's clue cards were pretty similar to ours. I see how this happened now. So with Mr. Green showing him lead pipe, I believe. Or, yeah. With whatever card. Yeah, Mr. Green showed lead pipe. So by virtue of Mr. Green showing lead pipe and the person who won the game being Col Mustard. So Col Mustard was the only person we thought could still have Peacock. Col Mustard knew Col Mustard didn't have Peacock. So therefore could scratch knew Peacock was the killer. Candlestick, I think we all knew. I'm guessing that's the thing that everybody has. Yeah. And then the only person, so there's only 2 people we had left that could have had library. Green and Mustard. Mustard had already seen all of Green's cards, so therefore was able to eliminate library. Well, eliminate Green from having library, and therefore won the game. So interesting. Yeah, we were kind of far behind there, but we were in about the same boat as everybody else. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we will be back with another game of Clue for Steam. So hang out. We're going to get some water here, and I'll be right back.